Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for stopping by. I hope you're doing well. Have you ever wanted to try bead weaving, but you haven't because you're worried about the difficulty? Well, today I'm going to guide you through a simple bead weaving technique for both beginners and experienced jewelry makers alike. And we're going to be using the beads that came in the GGC Treasure Bag, which was released last month sometime. Now, if you're not familiar with that bead collection, I'll leave some information down below in the description section of this video, along with a link to the website, in case you want to check it out. As you can see, this elegant bracelet features dazzling faceted crystals for a touch of sparkle, complemented by rosaline colored oval beads. Whether you're making this as a gift or for yourself, this bracelet is sure to shine on any wrist. And I can't wait to show you how to make it, so let's go ahead and get started. And here we have the GGC Treasure Bag. There were actually two bags in the Autumn Showcase release, Sunset and Sunrise, and this one's Sunset. But I'm sure if you have the Sunrise bag, you could probably use some of the beads from that bag. I'm not exactly sure if the beads were the exact same beads, just in a different color. But anyway, I did do an unbagging video, and if you haven't seen it, I'll link it down below. I'm sure the bag is sold out by now, but maybe if you go to the website, they might have some extras from the bag. And as always, it was absolutely packed with beads, and that's why these bags sell out so quickly. There were a total of 13 strands, and then a whole bunch of loose beads, components, and some findings as well. So let me show you the materials we'll be using for today's project. Here are the beads we're going to be using. These are from the bag. And the nice thing is that these beads came in very long strands, which means you could probably make several bracelets. These are electroplated glass oval beads. They measure 4.5 by 3 millimeters, and the color is rosaline. And these are faceted rondelles. They have a rainbow electroplating, which makes them really sparkly, and they measure 4 by 3 millimeters. Let me show you what else we'll be using today. Here I have a few more items. These are from my stash. These did not come in the bag. I have some seed beads, some fireline, and a magnetic clasp. The seed beads are size 11.0, and these are Miyuki seed beads. They're round and they're in a gold color, as you can see. And here's some fireline. This one's 8 pound, but you could probably use 6 pound if you wanted to. I'm using 8 pound because this is the only one I had, and the color is crystal, as you can see. Now this magnetic clasp is actually a necklace extender, so I'm going to have to remove this piece, and I'll show you how to do that. And of course I'll be using some needles, and I'm going to be using size 12 beading needles. So now that we've gone over the materials, let's go ahead and get started. As you can see, I have all my beads and the clasp. The first thing I'm going to do is remove that spring clasp, so let me go ahead and do that. Now if you'll notice, I'm not sure if you can see it, but the loop is actually soldered. It's not cut. So I'm going to have to somehow break that solder. I'd rather do that than cut it because I want to save my pliers. But I need to see where it's soldered before I can break it apart. And I think it's soldered right there. So basically I'm going to come in here with these pliers. And bend it back and forth like this until it breaks. As you can see, I just broke it. So I'm going to remove this piece now. And that's what we have. Actually, let me separate them because I only need one piece for now. Now for this project, you're going to need a very long piece of fireline thread. And if you're a beginner, you might find it challenging, but I prefer to work with a long piece of thread than to run out halfway through the project and then have to tie on some new thread. So I recommend a piece that's 70 inches long. Mine is going to be shorter because I don't want it to be awkward while I'm filming. But when I'm working alone, I usually have a very long piece of thread. I've already threaded one needle to one end, and now I'm going to thread the needle to this end because we need 2 needles. The easiest way to thread this fireline through a needle is to flatten it. Flatten the end like this. Here's my needle. So here are my 2 ends with the needles on them. And the first thing I'm going to do is slide onto these size 11.0 seed beads. And now the clasp. And another 2 seed beads. Bring them all to the center of the thread. Like this. And now I'm going to slide one extra seed bead on this needle. This is my left needle. Slide it down. Take my right needle. And I'm going to go through the seed bead in the opposite direction. So the threads are actually crossing inside that seed bead. Let me bring my needles together again, because I want to make sure that it's centered. And this is what you should have. So far, so good. And now I'm going to take my right needle and I'm going to go up through these 2 seed beads and through the clasp, the loop of the clasp, and now down these 2 seed beads on the other side. And you want to make sure you keep everything nice and snug. So that's what we have so far. And now I'm going to go through one more seed bead, this one right here, and put it down. And now I'm grabbing the other needle, and I'm going to do the same thing. So I'm coming out of that seed bead, that center seed bead. I'm going to travel through these 2 on the side. Through the clasp, like this. And now down these 2 seed beads on the other side. And now I'm going to go through the center seed bead as well. And pull to make sure everything's nice and snug. So this part's pretty easy, and don't worry because we will reinforce it later on. So once again, I have my right needle and my left needle. I'm going to pick up one of these oval beads with my right needle, bring it down, and now with my left needle, I'm going to pick up an oval bead, bring it down, and a seed bead, like this. And now with the right needle, I'm going to go through that seed bead in the opposite direction and pull. Let me just move this up a little bit. So that's what we have so far. Now once you add a unit and you pull, it really doesn't matter which is the right needle and which is the left needle, as long as you have one on each side. So let me pick up this one now. And this time I'm going to pick up a size 11/0 seed bead. And with the other needle, I'm going to pick up a size 11/0 seed bead and a rondelle. And bring it down like this. And now with this needle, I'm going to go through the rondelle in the opposite direction, like this, and pull. That's what we have so far. With the right needle, I'm going to pick up a size 11/0 seed bead. With the left needle, I'm picking up 2 size 11/0 seed beads. Bring them down. And I'm going to go through the second seed bead that I added, the last one that I added, and pull. You do want to make sure that your work is even. In other words, you don't want those seed beads leaning more to one side of that rondelle. You want them centered. So that's what we have. So that's basically one full unit, which consists of the oval beads and the rondelle. So now we're going to repeat the same exact unit. So I'm going to start with an oval bead on the right needle, like that. Bring it down, and with the left needle, I'm going to pick up an oval bead and a seed bead. Bring it down. I like to wrap the thread around my finger like this, because then it makes it easier for me to slide the other needle through it. So once again, I'm going to pick up a size 11/0 seed bead with the right needle. And with the left needle, I'm going to pick up an 11/0 seed bead and a rondelle. Slide them down. Wrap the thread around my finger. Take the right needle and go through the rondelle. And pull. Make sure your beads are all centered like this. With the right needle now, I'm going to pick up a size 11/0 seed bead. With the left needle, I'm going to pick up 2. Bring them down. Wrap the thread around my finger and go through that last seed bead and pull. Just like that. And don't worry, things will straighten out later on when we do reinforcements. So that's basically it, guys. It's very simple. It's very repetitive. Now, one thing I need to let you know about, this bracelet will actually shrink in size once you do the reinforcements. So if you're making a 7-inch bracelet, for example, you're going to have to create a length that's 8 inches long. So keep that in mind when you create these units. And of course, the clasp will add some length as well. But the nice thing about these clasps is that they're not very big. They're not very long. They're only going to add about ½ an inch to the overall length. So I'm estimating that I'm going to probably make 15 units of the oval beads and 14 of the rondelles. But don't worry too much about that. Just remember that your bracelet's going to shrink by 1 inch. So I'm going to keep going off camera until I get a length that's 8 inches for a 7-inch bracelet. And then I'll come back and show you how to add the other end of the magnetic clasp, and we'll do the reinforcing. So I'll see you in a few moments. Okay, I'm back, and I have about 8 inches worth of beads, and there are 15 sets of the oval beads and 14 of the rondelles, in case you're wondering. So now I'm going to add the clasp to that end. Here it is. And by the way, like I mentioned before, the rondelles may not sit exactly straight, but they'll straighten out once we do the reinforcing. So let me pick up my work. You want to make sure you maintain tension there. You don't want things to get loose. I'm going to slide on 2 of the seed beads onto my right needle. And the clasp, it's magnetic, so it wants to stick to my needle. And with the other needle, I'm going to slide 2 seed beads. And now I need to go through that clasp. So let me move this needle over here, because I want to go in through the opposite side. Like this. And pull. So that's what we have. I'm going to take this needle and go through these 2 seed beads on the side, like this, and pull. Make sure you maintain that tension like I said before. And I'm going to go through the center bead at the bottom and pull. It is a little tricky because you want to keep that tension. You don't want things getting loose. So now I need to do the same thing with this other needle. As you can see, I'm coming out of the magnet loop. I'm going to go through these 2 side seed beads like that and pull, and through the center bead here. And pull. And that's what we have so far. So I'm going to reinforce that again. Once again, I'm going up through these 2 seed beads on the side, like this. And now through the loop of the magnet clasp, like this. Down this side now. Like this. So let me do the same thing on this side with this other thread. I'm going to go down these 2 seed beads on the side, like this, through the loop of the magnet clasp. It's a little bit challenging because it's kind of tight, but I think it's through. And pull. And now through these 2 seed beads right here. Let me just go through one. And now the other one. So this is what we have so far. So I think that's enough reinforcement. So now I'm going to continue with the next step. I'm going to slide on 1 seed bead onto my needle, and I'm going to go through this oval bead right here. Just like that. And now I'm going to go through the next seed bead, and pull just like that, and through this rondelle to the opposite side. And I'm going to place my needle down because now I need to repeat the same steps with this other thread. So I'm going to load a seed bead and go through the barrel bead, like this. Let me just get this thread out of the way. I'm going to go through the seed bead now. It's very easy to get tangled up, so you need to make sure you keep your threads separated. And pull. And I'm going to go through this rondelle to the opposite side. So now I've reinforced these 2 units, as you can see. So I'm going to grab the right needle and go through the seed bead, the oval bead, and the next seed bead, and pull. Take the other needle on the left and go through the seed bead on this side, the oval bead. Let me just do this first. And now the seed bead. And pull. And I'm going to take both threads now and give it a little tug, just to make sure things are nice and snug. Now you don't want to do it too tight though. So I'm taking this needle now and I'm going through the rondelle and pull. Take this thread now, this needle, and go through the rondelle in the opposite direction and pull. So the threads are crisscrossing. I hope that's not too confusing, but this is the easiest way I've found to do this. So once again, I'm going to take this side, go through the seed bead, the oval bead, and the following seed bead, like that, and pull. And I don't want to go through the rondelle at this point because one side of the bracelet tends to get more tight than the other. So it's best to do it this way. So now on this side, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to go through the seed bead, the oval bead, and the following seed bead, like this, and pull. Pull both threads, and I'm going to crisscross inside this rondelle. And now this one, like this, and pull. I hope that makes sense. Let me do it one more time. I'm going to go through the seed bead, the oval bead, and the following seed bead, like this, pull, and you might find it easier to flip your work around like this. You could certainly do that if you want to, because now I'm going to do this side. I'm going to go through the seed bead, the oval bead, and the following seed bead, like this, and pull. Pull both threads, because you want to tighten both sides evenly, like this. And now I'm going to crisscross the threads through the rondelle. So now this one, like this, and pull. You want to pull on both threads to make sure that everything's even. And that's basically it. It's pretty easy, guys. It really is. It seems difficult because I'm on camera and I'm working at an odd angle. But anyway, that's how I'm going to do the entire thing. And you'll notice once you get to this end, your bracelet will be 1 inch shorter. So let me keep going until I get to this point, and then I'll meet you back and we'll reinforce that end. Okay, I'm back. And as you can see, I'm coming out of the last set of barrel beads. So now we need to add that 1 seed bead, just like we did at this end. Once again, you want to make sure you don't get your threads confused. So I'm taking the one on the right, loading a seed bead, going through these 2 seed beads on the side, like this. And I'm going to go through the loop of the clasp. And down these 2 seed beads on the other side, like this. Now you could do it the other way. You could loop around and then add the seed bead. It really doesn't matter. So now I'm going to do the same thing with this one. Let me just get this one out of the way. I'm going to load a seed bead. Go down these 2 seed beads on the side. Go through the loop of the clasp. And now down these 2 seed beads. It is a little tricky because it's tight, but there it is, and pull. And that's really all the reinforcement you need. You really don't need any more than that. So now I'm going to travel through the seed bead, the oval bead, and this other seed bead, let me flip my work around, and I'll do the same thing with this side. So I'm traveling through the seed bead, the oval bead, and the other seed bead on the other side. And now through the rondelle. Flip my work around. I'm taking the other thread now and crisscrossing inside that rondelle. And that's basically it. We're just traveling through the same thread path as before to reinforce the entire bracelet. So let me do it again. I'm coming out of the rondelle. I'm going to go through the seed bead, the oval bead, and the seed bead on the other side, and pull. Same thing with this side. I'm traveling through the seed bead, the oval bead, and the seed bead on the other side, and pull. Pull both threads, but you don't want to pull it too tight. And now I'm going to go through the rondelle. And with the other one, I'm going to go through and crisscross inside that rondelle and pull. So that's basically it, guys. That's pretty good reinforcement. So now what I'm going to do is go all the way to this end. I'm not going to go through the clasp again because there's enough thread going through each of those beads. I'm going to stop before I get there and tie off the thread. So let me travel down to about here, and then I'll meet you back and we'll tie it off. Okay, I'm back, and as you can see, I'm coming out of the seed beads, but I still have 3 units to go through, and I'm going to do some knots as I travel through. So let me show you. I'm going to find a thread bridge. There's one right here. And I'm going to pull until I get a little loop. And I'm going to go through the loop and pull. So now I'm going to travel through the rondelle to the opposite side and pull. And I'm going to do the same thing with this thread. So once again, I need to find a thread bridge. There's one right there. And pull. Create a little loop. Go through the loop and pull. And now I'm going to go through the rondelle and pull. So now I'm going to travel through the seed bead, the oval bead, and the other seed bead. Same thing with this one. Seed bead, the oval bead, and seed bead. Find a thread bridge, like that. Create a loop, go through the loop, and pull. Go through the rondelle. Turn my work around. Find a thread bridge with this one, like that. Create a loop and go through the loop and pull. And now I'm going to go through the rondelle. and pull. Let me do one more. I'm going to go through the seed bead, the oval bead, and the other seed bead. Find a thread bridge, create a loop, go through the loop, pull, go through the rondelle, and pull. Same thing with this side. I'm going to go through the seed bead, the oval bead, and the other seed bead. Find a thread bridge, make a loop, go through the loop, pull, and go through the rondelle. And now I'm going to move away from the rondelle just a little bit before I cut off the thread. So I'm just going to go down this way. I'm going to exit out of the seed bead. And I'm going to use my thread burner. And I'm going to go ahead and burn off that thread. So now let me do the same thing with this end. So here it is. Isn't it pretty? I think it's adorable. I really do. I love how it turned out, and I like that clasp. And it's going to look even prettier outside. I guess the only challenging thing about this one is that you have to make sure you keep your threads separated so you don't get confused. And then of course the tension matters as well. You don't want it too tight because it'll buckle up, but at the same time you don't want it too loose because then you'll see the threads. It takes time, guys. That's all I can tell you. So if you're a beginner, just keep practicing and eventually it'll become easier. Here's another version. These are the exact same beads, but these came in the treasure bag prior to the one that I used today. And I can't remember the name of it, but I'll leave it down in the description section of this video. I have to be careful not to get them too close to each other because the magnets will react. So anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed today's tutorial. If you have time, I'd love to hear your feedback. If you could leave some comments down below, I'd really appreciate it. Thank you so much for watching. I'm looking forward to seeing you again. Have a great day and I'll see you next time. Bye.